he said we did find a needle in the car, a used needle, and I'll let you guys' imagination run wild on what that was used for. So I've always had a soft spot for E39 BMWs, preferably the 540i 6-speed. So when a Cleveland came up for sale, I couldn't pass it up. It was in Virginia, which was a few hours away from me, and I messaged the guy and he told me about the car, and it seemed like a really nice example. It had been well taken care of, good maintenance. The seller actually worked for Beamer World, I believe. Yeah, and he knew this was BMWs. I knew it was well taken care of. So I go there, and just really a genuinely super nice guy. We met at Virginia Tech's campus at a car meet of all places, and he ended up taking less for the car than we agreed on. I think we agreed on $2,500, and he ended up giving it to me for like $2,200. And I didn't even try to negotiate. That's just what he came down to on his own. So we brought the car back to Charleston, and I immediately got to work on it, just doing a couple little things to make it mine and increase the value a little bit, because inevitably I would sell it. I don't keep cars for very long. So I did brushed aluminum, interior trim, and LED lights throughout the car, license plate lights, the interior lights. Updated the updated the tail lights, and also chopped off the muffler. Of course, it's the first thing I always do, or have done, to 540i's. I probably won't own anymore after that one. But the cars, they sound really good with the chopped muffler, and tasteful mods. It was a really nice daily driver, and it also had the factory two-piece BBS wheels, and they were staggered and in great shape. Just a really good looking daily driver. So after a few months, I decided to list the car for sale. I had it for sale for a while, like 2 or 3 weeks, which usually doesn't take me that long to sell a car. So when somebody messaged me late one night, well, it was later in the afternoon, but they were coming later that night, I thought, heck yeah, let's get it sold. So I was at my shop, doing some other things, and they were supposed to come there, and hours went by and they just weren't coming, but they were keeping in touch with me, and they were letting me know that they were on their way and this or that. They were only an hour away. Well, what ended up happening is they were driving an E46 BMW they had just bought a couple days prior to this, and it was leaking coolant really bad, and they were just kept having to replace the coolant out to try and make it to me. So they asked if I would meet them, and expressed that they had the cash in their hand. They were definitely going to buy the car, this and that, and that's a big no-no. So whenever you're selling a car, never meet somebody. Always make them come to you, because I can't tell you in my early years of flipping cars how many times I drove to people and they were just BSing, or the car wasn't what they thought it was, even though it was described exactly the way it is. So don't meet people. But like I said, the car had been for sale for a while. A couple people came and looked at it and flaked out on it for whatever reason. The car was perfect. And I wouldn't say I was desperate at this point, but I didn't have anything else going on that night, and I had a friend with me to follow me, and I thought, what the heck, I'll meet them. They're only about 20 minutes away. So I get there, and I should have looked at their Facebook a little bit closer, because they were sketchy people. And you could tell they had just come into some money, and I don't know, what they did to get it. I think maybe a settlement probably or something. And the guy told me that his goal was to buy 3 BMWs, and he had $16,000 to do so. And he had already bought that E46, and he was buying my E39, and he had, some money left over for one more. I don't know what made this guy think that it would be awesome to own 3 older BMWs instead of taking that $16,000 and buying a nice, M3 or M5 or 7 Series. I mean, just you could buy so many other nice BMWs than 3 not really sought after models. But anyways, so he buys my car. He tried to negotiate a little bit, and you know, I was in this car at this point maybe $2,500, including going to get it and the mods that I did to it. So we agreed on $4,250, and I noticed his E46 had a roof rack, a full roof rack, and I had him throw that in as well because I knew he didn't have any use for that roof rack and he didn't care to get rid of it. So I got a roof rack out of the deal. So I go home, I've got, you know, $4,250 in my pocket and a nice roof rack, and walked away making a nice chunk of change on that little flip and enjoying the car in the meantime. Well, here's where it gets interesting. So 2 months later, I get a certified letter in the mail, and I open it up and it's a tow yard in the city these people are from. So what happened was they got pulled over, the car got towed. It was still in my name. And in that scenario, if you buy a car from me and the title is in my name when you get pulled over, if the police decide they want to tow it, which I'm sure they had a valid reason to tow this car, I'm the registered owner, so I have full rights to come and get the car if it's not clean. Now, to the average person, this wouldn't be a big deal. All they would have to do is take the title to the DMV, get it in their name same day, go back to the tow yard and show them that they're the rightful owner of the car. But like I said, these people were sketchy, so that was out of the question. And so I called the tow yard and I asked, you know, is the car worth getting? Because a lot of times these cars, after you sell them to people like this, they're not worth having back. And he was very honest, surprisingly. I don't trust tow yards typically, but this guy was very honest. He said, no, you know, the car's really nice. Still, it's a little dirty, but it runs good. He said, we did find a needle in the car, a used needle, and I'll let you guys' imagination run wild on what that was used for. But that was like a $700 charge to clean up that needle. So the bill was almost $2,000. And I was still kind of thinking of it, but I got him to knock off the needle charge because it was called like a biohazard fee, because, you know, it wasn't my needle and I'm just trying to get the car back. So we agreed on like $1,200. That was the tow bill plus the storage fees. And I went up there the next day, took some cash with me, and I had to go to the police station, show them that I was the registered owner, and, you know, explain to them the situation. And it ended up, they got it towed because one of them was just, you know, really high and acting crazy, and he took off in that car, and the guy had called it in stolen, so the police towed it when they found him. Well, the owner who called it in stolen, he had warrants for his arrest, so he couldn't go to the police station to have the car released to show them that it was his. So he just let it go. Lost $4,250 in 2 weeks. So anyways, I get the car back. It's a little dirty. It's got a bunch of junk in it from these sketchy people. I don't know why sketchy people, their cars are always full of butter knives and clothes, a lot of clothing, and, you know, cigarette packs, and the silverware. I don't know why they always have dirty silverware in them. But anyways, get the car to my shop. Of course, wear some latex gloves and clean the car really good. And I sprayed the whole car down with disinfectant. I mean, I'm talking like Lysol disinfectant. I was very thorough. I didn't even want to touch this car or drive it until it was, you know, spotless. So I got it all cleaned up, and I didn't want to drive the car at this point. After those people had owned it, I bought it back solely just to flip again. So I got it all detailed, took some updated pictures, put it back in the garage, and that's where it's set. While I kind of just, I didn't want to advertise it again because it had just sold, you know, recently. So I put it in the back of the shop and just, you know, kind of word of mouth, waited to see what would happen. Well, my friend owns a used car lot, and their mechanic wanted it. Now this guy, good guy, but just terrible decisions. he was kind of in the same boat as the people that I had recently sold it to. So he buys a car, his license is revoked for driving on suspended, and it was suspended due to a DUI charge from years ago. He never did anything about it. And he was also on a second strike. So instead of using his income tax money to get his driver's license back, he spends it all on this car. So I sell the car to him for $3,000, and he puts a loud stereo in it and tints the windows and does some other things to just draw more attention to him. And needless to say, he gets pulled over 2 weeks later. And he wasn't going down without a fight. He knew that he was going to be arrested this time, and he just downshifted, hit the double downshift, and took off. He made it one exit from when the cops blue lighted him on the interstate, and went down a back road and crossed the railroad tracks going like 80 miles an hour, lost control. This is such a heavy car. I don't know why people think that it could outrun anything. I mean, they're not fast to begin with, and at that, they're heavy. So he hits these railroad tracks in a turn at 80 miles an hour, loses control, goes over the embankment, takes out a telephone pole. I mean, knocks the telephone pole down. And, the cops go down over the hill, they arrest him. Of course, the car gets impounded. He's still in prison over this, and I get another certified letter. As it turns out, I knew this tow yard owner, and I asked him the condition of the car, and it was just mangled. There wasn't, I mean, the drivetrain may have been good, and but it's such an old car, it wasn't worth fooling with a third time. But had I paid the tow bill, which was a lot, I could have got the car back and used the drivetrain for a swap or something, but I ended up just letting it go for the last time, and walked away with a total of $3,600 in profit from selling that car